Welcome to Concierge Business Solutions. Today we have the top 10 marketing tips for entrepreneurs. A little bit about me. I'm the founder and president of Concierge Business Solutions, and we have been working with clients in consulting and networking and helping their businesses improve for the last 15 or plus years. So the first thing we're going to talk to you about today is the marketing tip number one, which is you never assume what somebody can or can't afford. I can't tell you how many times people have been reluctant to sell their services or their products because they themselves wouldn't even pay for them. But you can never tell what's important to somebody because there's a little thing called perception of value. And perception of value means somebody else sees value in something. Doesn't matter what it costs, they're going to buy it anyway. I can tell you I learned this lesson in 1976. I was selling home decor, sort of on a party plan, like they would do Tupperware or vitamins or some other kind of home selling service. I was selling home decor, and my sponsor at the time told me to never assume what somebody could afford because I was really broke in doing this job. And so when I would go in there with these sconces that cost, $75 in a day where people were bringing home $50 a week, I thought, oh my goodness, these are crazy expensive. But you know what? We sold them and sold them and sold them because people like them and they want it. The same is true for your business. If people like it, they're going to buy it. So don't assume what somebody can or can't afford. The other problem with making that assumption is that it affects your believability. So unless that you believe that what you have has value, nobody else will believe that what you have has value. So you must believe it and assume that somebody's going to see value and that they will bring you their business. Marketing tip number two is to always believe in your success. The biggest cheerleader out there is you for your business. You must promote and believe in your success. Now, I started my concierge company in 2006. We were going along just fine until 2008 when the economy fell apart over the housing market. And the first thing I did was I turned off the TV because all the news media was full of negativity about how bad the economy was, how people weren't spending money, how the people were unemployed. And I said, you know what? I don't want that negativity in my consciousness. I turned it off, and I just believed that people would want my services, and the more I believed it, the more they wanted it. In fact, I would go to networking events, and people would come up and say, how's business? And I would say, it's absolutely fantastic. And they would look at me and say, well, you're the only one who says that. Well, I said, I don't know. I just seem to be doing really well. And even when it wasn't going well, I said that so much and saw myself successful so much that we just became successful. And you know what? We grew 30% in those years, each year, for like 5 years. So you can do that too if you believe it and if you can visualize that you're successful and you can talk like you're successful, and basically you just fake it till you make it, basically. So believe in yourself and promote yourself and tell people you're successful, and they believe you'll be successful, and you will be successful. The third marketing tip is for you to understand what your role is in the company when you own the business. Now, a lot of people think that they start the company and they maybe go to a networking event or another, and then the business will just roll in. Well, that's not always true. You need to be out 3 days a week minimum promoting your business, meeting new people, networking and marketing and talking to people every single day as much as you can, cold calling, having coffees, whatever it takes to sit down and meet with somebody to tell them about your business. In fact, you should not even stand in a line anywhere without handing out a business card. Always be talking about your business. And if you're passionate and you believe in it and you're excited about it, other people will be too. That's how this works. It's contagious. Enthusiasm is contagious. I used to have that hanging on my wall in my office when I had a real job. Just enthusiasm is contagious, and I've never forgotten that. Also, your job within your company is to build the relationships, right? You own it, you believe in it, it's your business, so you need to work those relationships. And relationships are as easy as asking somebody, what do you do? As soon as you ask about them and start talking about them, they feel a connection to you and they get excited about it. So you should always talk about the other person and learn about them because that's the beginning of a relationship. You also want to spend quite a bit of time building your brand. And how do you do that? Well, you could pay for advertising, you could pay for radio time. There's a bunch of ways you could do that, but the easiest way to do that is to write about your business and what you do, and try to get newspapers, magazines, and the chambers to print what you talk about. You don't even have to talk about your business. You can just talk about a topic and then have a byline that talks about your business, and that's just as effective. And getting articles published costs you nothing except the time to write them and to get somebody to be interested. So you want to talk about your business as much as possible, and also to make sure all your marketing collateral, brochures, business cards, folders, giveaways, everything looks the same, that you have continuity across your business so that your brand is recognizable. And please keep in mind that you are the face of your company. That means that however you present yourself is how your business is going to be perceived. So you need to be professional. You need to speak professionally. You need to look professional. Your car needs to be professional. You can put magnets on it so that you continue your branding and your marketing even through your car. I've had people take pictures of the promotional material on my car and then call me up from that. So you'd be surprised at how you can reach people. Your job to figure that out. And by the way, we could help you with that if you're not sure where to start. Something we know how to do. Marketing tip number 4, I think this is really important, although you're going to hear me say that a lot through this webinar. All 10 of these tips are very important. Let your clients or your potential clients lead your business. And by that, I mean a lot of people sit down and they come up with a pitch for their business. They're going to sit down with the client and they're going to give them a spiel that they've practiced and rehearsed and they feel really confident about. And then the client will look at them and say, no, thank you. And the reason they say no thank you is often the client has a different idea of what they need and how you can help them than you just offered. So instead of walking in with a canned pitch, and don't get me wrong, you should have some idea of how to sell your business, but rather than just launch into that pitch, why not ask the client, how do you envision using us? Or what would make your life easier? Or what kind of product do you need to be more productive in your business? If you ask that question and you really listen to the answer, often your clients will not only tell you how to best pitch them, but they will also lead you in all kinds of new directions for new services and new products that you never even imagined. So that old adage of find a need and fill it is extremely appropriate here, because you want to turn your pitch around from the client's perspective. We talk a lot about what's in it for me. Well, what's in it for me in this context means, what does the client need? How can you solve their problems? How can you couch your product and your pitch so that they believe that there's value? That's really what it comes down to. So when you go in to do a pitch for a client, don't be in a hurry to tell them everything you know about your business and why they should work with you. Ask them what they need first, and then quickly, you should be quick on this, be able to turn your pitch around to address that specific question. I'll give you another example on this. This morning even, I was doing a demo for the software that we offer, and the lady that was looking at it for her business was saying that she wants to do corporate services. And our business, where we use the software, is for personalized services. So when she said that, I started to tailor how I presented the software to her in a context that she could relate to for the corporate environment. Because you see, the software works both ways, but if I had just done my pitch from my home personalized service perspective, she wouldn't have seen the value. Instead, I tailored it to what she wanted, and then of course, she actually bought it this morning. So you really want to look at things from the client's perspective and solve their problems, and then they're more likely to want to use you. Now, this tip is one that everybody's always surprised about when I talk about it. Marketing tip number 5 is welcome rejection. We love rejection. I love rejection, okay? And you should learn to love rejection also. Most people don't like to be rejected. They take it very personally, and it affects their self-worth and their self-esteem. And when you're in business, you have to separate you from the business. Even if you're the only one doing any work and it's a solopreneur operation, you still have to think in your mind, the business is here and I'm here, and the two are separate. And so when you're out promoting the business, you're actually in this bucket over here with the business. And when people reject you, the benefit of it is that often you may not know how to answer that objection at the moment, but when you drive away, I promise you, you will think to yourself, oh my gosh, I should have said this. Okay, and next time when you get that rejection, you'll know what to say. So rejection is a good tool to help you learn how to grow and to provide sales pitches and marketing proposals that a client can identify with, because you already know what they're going to say no to. And that's extremely important and valuable information. Also, sometimes a client will say no, and once you realize why they're saying no, you can tailor your business to address the reason that they thought you didn't support what they needed, so that next time you will. So it's always providing opportunities for growth and learning, and to create the responses that will further enhance your opportunity to get more business. Oh, number 6, one of my favorites, engaging in, I can't even say this, shameless self-promotion. Say that fast 3 times with me. Shameless self-promotion. Very hard to do. Say it fast anyway. When you have a business, it is imperative that you promote yourself. And again, I said you're the cheerleader for your business. Well, if you aren't out there doing the whole rah-rah, shake around the pom-poms, nobody else is going to do it for you. So you really need to get over what your mother taught you about sitting back quietly in the background and being very prim and proper, and instead be out there shouting from the rooftops how great you are and how great your company is. Now, you can do this without bragging and without being obnoxious, okay? You want to do it with some class. One of the ways to do that is to release press releases, write up new things about your business, new services or products you're offering, how to solve problems for people. That whole what's in it for me perspective can turn into a great article or a press release. When you hire somebody new, you can do a press release. Every little step of your business as you go should be announced and promoted. You also need to establish yourself as an expert in your industry. So if you get the news media to, like for example, I went to our local newspaper and said, are you aware of the kind of things that happen when people are gone for the summer? We happen to live in an area that is primarily a lot of absentee homeowners. And so all these homes are empty, and it's 115 degrees outside, and that affects their properties. So when I told the newspaper, are you aware of some of the issues that can occur, they thought, oh gosh, that'd make a great article. And so they wrote an article for me. Other times I've written articles and submitted to them, and they've been published. In fact, we've had 33 articles published to date about our business and things we do. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. We can help you come up with article ideas or pitches for papers. Often your local Chamber of Commerce is eager for information and articles and content, because they don't have a lot of it, and to have to put out a newsletter month after month after month becomes difficult. Plus, they like to showcase their members in their newsletters. So chambers are good, Rotary's good, any charity news is good. There's all kinds of ways that you can promote yourself in a positive and non-bragging way. You also want to agree to or offer to speak at these social functions. The Rotary's a good place. There's Rotaries all over the world. The Chambers of Commerce, any professional organizations in your community, any place where you can speak, because just like people are hungry for written content, they're also hungry for presentations for their meetings and their gatherings, and so you often can agree to or offer to speak to them. Likewise, if somebody says, I'd like to interview you for an article, don't be shy. Don't say, oh no, I look bad on camera. Just do it. Okay, just do it. Eventually, you will establish yourself as an expert in your industry, and people will start coming to you for advice. That's one of the things that we've done, hasn't it? I mean, we're sitting here telling you this because we've learned through experience what works and what doesn't, and so we want to help you to not trip over the things that we did in the beginning and to be successful quicker than we were. When we worked in aerospace, we had the same issue where people would come to us and say, well, how do we do this? Or how do I fix this problem within my company? And we were able to help them. And so you learn how to do that, and you establish yourself as an expert in the industry. And finally, you really want to take advantage of social media. And in social media, I think there may even be a separate slide in here about social media, but it can be overwhelming because there are so many opportunities. Whichever ones you pick, be sure that you're consistent in how you present yourself. Your branding is a key piece of social media as well, and so you want to take advantage of all of those things. We've learned to show jobs that we've completed because in the beginning we were just saying, use us, use us, use us, and that doesn't do any good. But when you start to show work you've completed or products that you're offering, people then see the value and then they come to you and look for assistance. Number 7. Oh, we're up to number 7. You want to project professionalism in everything you do. I touched on this earlier. Have a sales presentation folder that is either logoed already, that you buy them logoed, or buy a colored folder that matches your logo and put a pretty label on it. Today with computers, you can create beautiful labels. You don't have to go to the expense of actual hard-coded document or folders, but you need to have a professional looking folder so that when you go to speak with somebody and to network and to market, you have something to hand them that they can take away, that they'll remember you. Within those presentation folders, for sure you need some kind of intro letter, who you are, what you offer, do you take credit cards, do you use vendors, are they insured, do you, what kind of products you offer, what those products do for people. There needs to be some kind of an intro letter about your company. I like to put in what I call my resume for the company, which is a list of your credentials. That would be any awards you've won in this industry, any professional associations you belong to, any positions you've held in the volunteer community, any articles you've had published. That's how come I know we've had 33 articles published, because we keep track. If you do a newsletter, anything that you do to promote yourself should be identified on a professional resume that's included in the presentation folder, no matter who you're meeting, because you want to be able to demonstrate and illustrate that you are an effective member of the community, that you give back, and that you honor the people that you work with. Very, very important. When you create forms, for any forms that are specific that you need for that particular meeting, make sure those are included. Everything should be in the folder so that you can give it to the client or the potential client or or the potential business partner. You need to have everything in there you need so that you don't have to say, let me get it and get back to you. You want to be able to close the deal while you're sitting there. We talked about having signs on your car. I'm a big advocate for mobile advertising, magnets at a minimum. You can actually do wrapping and logos directly on your car, which I like personally for me better because I think they look more professional. But if you use your car for business and for pleasure, maybe you want to use magnets instead. Either one will work because I think the estimate is 20,000 people a day see advertising on a car, believe it or not. As long as you get out of your house or your office and go out somewhere, they're going to see it. And so your car plays a big impact in your marketing for your business, so use it. It's free, use it. And when you hire people, don't be afraid to put this stuff on their car also. Now, depending on the kind of business you're in, you may have to compensate those employees to do it. I'd say still do it. It's the best advertising. I'll tell you a funny story about that. We have a tennis tournament here, and I got a phone call from the police one day that one of our cars, one of my employee cars, was illegally parked. They went to the tennis tournament and illegally parked it. And how do they know to call me? Magnet on their car. So, you know, the magnets do good for you and bad for you. And so if you're going to use it personally, take it off. But if you're going to use it professionally, make sure that you leave it on there. And while we're talking about personal and professional, keep in mind that if there's advertising on your car, you get no off days. You may not run to the bank in your slippers. You may not go to the store with no makeup on, or if you're a guy with your hair uncombed and your shirt untucked. You really need to remember that you're always on when you own your own company, and so that you must dress and look the part all the time. I was at a coffee shop one time, sitting outside on the patio, and this car pulled up, and it was all wrapped, beautifully wrapped, and all this weight loss information, you know, sign up with us, guaranteed weight loss, blah, blah, blah. And the car opened, and the lady that got out of the car must have weighed 300 pounds. And while I have no prejudice against anybody with weight issues, I don't think it's appropriate for somebody that looked like that to get out of a car promoting weight loss and the success of their product. Would you believe that they could do it? I didn't. So keep in mind that how you dress when you're working and have your own business is extremely important. And I learned this the hard way too. I ran out to stop and get some gas one day and forgot that I had slippers on. That's why I say don't run out in your slippers. And I was pumping gas in my car, and this guy came up, because it's all wrapped, big and beautiful. He comes up and he wants information and a brochure and stuff, and I'm standing there in slippers that look like they belonged on my kids. So just don't do it. Dress nice, look nice, be professional everywhere you go. And this last one here is extremely important too, because I've seen too many people make this mistake. Every event is a work event, okay, even if it isn't. And what I mean by that is if you go to a personal party and you're visiting, you've got friends, and you decide to have a little too much to drink, and you get kind of loosey-goosey about it, you misbehave, you don't know who at that party could be either a potential client or a connection to a potential client. And also these days with cell phone cameras and YouTube, you really don't want to do something that you don't want out in internet space. You just don't. So you never know. I used to host company picnics and Christmas parties for the company that I worked for. I did it for 15 years, I think, or 12 years working for them. Children's parties, Christmas parties, company picnics, and I was amazed at the behavior of some of the management staff at these events, where they would get, just fall down on top of themselves, slobbering, way too much to drink, and then they had to go into work, 2 days later and try to manage their employees. How do you do that? How do you keep your credibility when you're unprofessional in a public setting? So understand that every event is a work event, even if you don't think it is. Everywhere you go, you're on all the time. Oh, here we are going to talk about social media. I thought it was here. So there's lots and lots of social media and technology that you can use to help market your business. Obviously, the number one way is a website. When I first started my business, the other business in 2006, websites were hit or miss. Some people had them, some didn't. If you had it, it set you apart. These days, it's expected. I think in one of our other webinars, we talk about order winners and order qualifiers. In the old days, having a website was an order winner. These days, it's a qualifier. You have to have a website if you're going to run any kind of professional business. And when you do put your site together, my recommendation is that you keep it as clean as you can. I personally do not like to go to a site that's cluttered up with all kinds of advertising and banners and flash and things moving. It's distracting and overwhelming. Pop-ups, I hate pop-ups. Keep your website clean, stick to what you do, talk about your service, and make sure you have an About Us page. That's where you get to be a little bit more personal. That's where you get to develop the relationship with your reader, and how you help market your business is to create an About Us page. So avoid the temptation to cram too much stuff onto your website. Keep it clean, keep it neat, and keep it professional, just like yourself when you're out driving around. E-newsletters are also a great way to market your business. There is some etiquette associated with newsletters, and some of that has to do with frequency. There's lots of schools of thought about this. Let's be candid, okay? Some people say write a little short one every single week. Some people say do them monthly. Some people say do them quarterly. I really don't care what your frequency is as long as you're consistent in when you do it. Okay, if you're going to commit to doing a newsletter, then really commit and do it on a stated frequency. If I miss a month, I apologize in my newsletter, because I've got people who email me and say, "Are you okay? I didn't get your newsletter this month." So you want to be consistent. I personally think once a month is plenty. We all get bombarded by newsletters and advertising and marketing and all kinds of promotional pieces. And how many of you, show of hands, how many of you have unsubscribed from stuff because it's just too overwhelming how much you get? So keep that in mind when you're promoting your stuff, and keep it consistent. Also, make sure the look of your website and your newsletters and your Facebook page and your blogs and all of your content looks the same. You want to make sure that you're building a brand for your business, and the only way to do that is consistency across appearance and how things look. So keep that in mind also, because the more consistent you are, the more memorable you'll be. The more people may not remember your name, but they'll know where to find you. And that's all what building a brand is all about. When you do Facebook, I like Facebook. I pay for ads on Facebook occasionally, trying to build my likes, because the more likes we have, the more we're seen. It used to be if you had 500 friends on Facebook and you put a promotional piece out there, 500 people would see it. But the last year, and they're doing it constantly, Facebook changes their algorithms, and so it doesn't always mean that everybody that likes you is gonna see you when you do something, and there's little ways and tricks to get around that algorithm. So if you need help with your Facebook, let us know, and we'll try to optimize that for you to use it the best way possible. Blogs are good too, because blogs give you a chance to speak more frequently than you can with a newsletter, because blogs typically people go to read or they subscribe to it, and so they're looking for you. Whereas newsletters, you're kind of putting it out there and sending it to them. So there's a little bit of a difference between a blog and a newsletter, although the content can be similar. So blogs, I like blogs too, especially if they're tied into your website. Changing a blog increases the hits for the crawlers. The crawlers are the pieces of the internet that go around and try to find out which websites to put in the top of the page when they do search criteria. So the more you change the content, the more the crawlers pick you up, the higher ranking you get on the internet. Instagram is good. I don't know if it's so good for businesses. I use Instagram, and what I do with Instagram is I tag it to Twitter and to Facebook, so that when I post something on Instagram, it goes to both of those places. We have picked up a lot of new clients on Twitter, not clients, viewership on Twitter, so it's a good marketing tool. The other one that's really good is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't use it a lot, so I can't really promote the benefits of it, but there are a lot of people that are sold LinkedIn people, so if you like corporate or professional networking tools, you might want to take a look at that. And then the other thing that you can look at with social media is that there are several dashboards out there. Hootsuite is one of them, where you can write stuff and schedule it to go out and where it can go. So rather than trying to go to each individual social media outlet and try to write new content, you can write the content and then just schedule it where you want to go, and it's a big time saver for you. So look for a dashboard application to help you manage all your social media, because it can be a job all by itself, just this one thing. Okay, number 9 is important to me. It's one of my mantras. This is honor your sponsors. And what I mean by that is that the people that help you in your business, you need to give back to. And you need to not ever step on their toes, okay? When you're asking for the community to give you work, you need to give back into the community. And you can do that through volunteer efforts. In the beginning, I joined the chamber and then I became an ambassador. So I was actually meeting a lot more people because I was showing people around and greeting them and selling them raffle tickets and helping them to enjoy the chamber experience. I think that's important to do. any kind of volunteering, especially in charitable activities. Often you can volunteer to sit on the board of charities. You can chair social events for charities and fundraisers. You really want to find a way to give back in a way that means something to you, okay? If you believe in women's causes, then join a charity that does that. If you believe in children's causes, then Big Brothers Big Sisters or YMCA or any of those kinds of organizations that help children. If you're an education lover, if you're a pet lover, there's tons of places to give your time, believe me, and they're desperate for help. So find a charitable organization, volunteer and help them, and actually participate. It doesn't help to join if you don't go, okay? And if you don't have a voice in these organizations, and if you don't help them be successful, then what are you doing there, right? So to honor your sponsors, you must participate and give back. Likewise, if you join a networking group, and that could be a chamber, that could be BNI, that could be Lay Tip, there's all kinds of networking groups. If you join a networking group, again, you must participate in order to build relationships, in order to market your business, in order to be known and build your brand. So find the ones that mean something to you. I'm not saying just go join everything in the whole community, because where we live, there's not enough hours in the day to join enough stuff here where we live. But where you live, I'm sure there's a number of organizations. Find them and join them. Now, the very first one I ever joined out here other than the chamber was a women's charity group where most of the members were working in an industry where I wanted to promote for work. And so it was a little self-serving for me, but what ended up happening is I chaired one of their fundraisers, and I became a president of the organization for a year. So I more than gave back to the group that I originally joined to try to build business. And I'll be honest with you here too, I did build a lot of business with those people because I built relationships with them. We had a common goal to help this charity. That turned into a common goal to provide our services to their homeowners. So there's always a mutually beneficial way to work together, especially if you remember that you're doing it to give back. As long as you're doing it from a place of generosity and gratitude, and you're giving back freely with your spirit, the work is going to come automatically. You don't have to worry about money or volume of work if you're giving back with a free heart. I think that's really important. Always remember too to take the time to make little gestures of appreciation. When you write a handwritten thank you note to a client or to somebody you had lunch with, or to a vendor that you're talking to about working with you, or the manufacturer of the products that you make, or somebody who jumped through hoops to accomplish something that was a priority to you but not to them, and they really helped you out. When you write a little handwritten thank you note, you would be amazed at how far that goes and how much goodwill that carries. Because in this day and age, hardly anybody writes anything anymore. It's an email, or worse, it's a text. I can't tell you how many how many happy birthdays text messages I got, and I much would rather have talked to somebody on the phone. So, but I was still grateful to get them, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that the more personal you can make a gesture, the better it's going to be received, the more goodwill it's going to generate, the better you'll feel about it, and the better your client or the recipient is going to feel about it. So make the effort to show people that you appreciate them. Sometimes it's dropping some flowers somebody's way. Sometimes it's a little gift. Sometimes it's just a phone call. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. It just has to be a thoughtful gesture. In this case, the thought is what really counts for sure. It really makes a difference. And finally, our last marketing tip is to learn how to network. And you'd be amazed at how many people do not know how to network. It is shocking to me every time I go to a Mixer or some other networking group, how people do not understand how to network. First of all, if you walk up and hand somebody a flyer and say, "This is me, I make these products and I want to sell them to you," I will turn around the minute you leave and put it in the trash. Okay? to me, that is not networking. Networking is about building relationships. And in order to build relationships, you must take the time and have the patience to learn about the person and what they're doing. Remember, I talk about, a lot of my webinars, I talk about what's in it for me, because there is no better tool for you in building your company than understanding and looking at things from the other person's perspective. So when I go to a networking event and I walked up to somebody, if I have never seen them before, I may say to them, have we met? You look familiar to me, just to get the conversation started, even when I know I have never seen them. And then I ask them, what do you do and how do you do it? Or what do you sell? Or what is your job in life? Or, I ask them about them and let them talk about themselves. Eventually, they're going to ask about you. If they don't, it's okay if they don't. Next time they will. But at this point, in this initial relationship networking experience, you want to learn about them and get their card and see if there's a way in your mind that you guys can work together. Then ask to set up a meeting. Someday they're going to ask about you. It really doesn't matter if they don't ask about you right now. Okay? That's part of networking. Second part of networking is being enthusiastic and passionate and excited about what you do, so that once they do ask you about you and what you do, that you talk about it with so much enthusiasm that it's absolutely infectious and that they want to be a part of it. That's how you create the relationship. That's how you make people want to work with you, is to be excited about it. So the first two things of networking is about enthusiasm and about understanding what's in it for me, and that you take the time to learn about the other person. I can't stress it enough. I know I'm saying it over and over because it's so important to walk up to somebody and say, tell me about you. What do you do? How do you do it? Gosh, that's so interesting. How did you get into that? I mean, just learn about that person. Human beings being what they are and their nature is, the more they talk about themselves, the more they feel like they have a relationship and a connection to you. It's just how the psychology works. So learn about that and avoid the temptation to want to thrust your business card into somebody's hand right from the get-go. Speaking of business cards, carry the darn things. Can't tell you how many people I know go to a networking event and have no business cards on them. How can you possibly go to a networking event and have no business cards? Makes no sense to me. So carry them and hand them out. And if you realize it's been 3 months or 6 months since you handed out a card, you aren't doing your job. So you need to get out there and hand out those business cards. You should be buying 1,000 cards every 6 months. There needs to be a lot of cards going out. Hand them out. When you do get a card from somebody else, always ask for the card. Do you have a card? If you want to meet them again to talk further about how you might work together, ask for the meeting. If they agree to a meeting, write it on the back of the card. And then when you get back from the networking event, look at all your cards, enter them all in your database for your newsletter or whatever social media you're using, and then follow up immediately. Thank you note on an email. Here's my schedule. Which of these days works for you? It's always better to give somebody a this or a that than to say, do you want to? Because if you say, do you want to, the easy answer is no. The shorter word, easier to say. Most people are programmed to say it. So, but if you say, do you want Tuesday or Thursday, now they can't say no, they have to pick one. So, or if they do say no, it's much harder. So you want to hand out those business cards, and you want to remember the business card etiquette, which I was just telling you about. One is not to hand it out until they ask for it, or to at least get theirs and build that relationship with them. And then if they do ask about you, then you can give them a card. I like to give 2 cards rather than 1 card, because then they can keep one and give one away. And I tell them that right up front. Here, I'm going to give you 2, so you can keep one and give it to somebody else who you think might like to work with us. Okay? And I also tell them that when I take their card, by me taking this, I'm going to put you on my newsletter. Is that okay? So that you get permission, because all newsletters are permission-based, and so that you must have an okay to do that. So keep in mind some of these little tips about how to hand out business cards, and really learn how to network. And if you feel inside yourself you have some anxiety and you feel like just pushing everything you have out on people, I promise you that's the wrong way to network. So back off of that and talk about them. So Additional things, that was the last one of these. It went right into it. I didn't even do a summary on this webinar. I'm used to a summary at the end. We followed all 10 of the tips. So other things that we can do for you is we do business analyses for companies. We do automation, software, reporting tools, and all kinds of IT support. We also have a bunch of forms and documents and contracts that we offer for sale in case you don't want to reinvent the wheel and you need something to start from. We offer consulting and mentoring and coaching. We can write policies and procedures for your company to help you have some structure. And we also have education and training, which you know because you're here. So don't forget also that if there's a topic that you're interested in and we haven't addressed it it's not on our website, you're welcome to suggest one, and if we create the webinar, you're welcome to attend for free. So we're looking for those suggestions all the time. You can just go to the website and click Contact Us and send us your suggestions. Our software, we have a software product that we offer. It is a way to manage your data collection so that it's more automated and so to save yourself non-billable time. If you'd like to see a demo of the software, again, just click on the Contact Us and send us a request, and we're happy to show it to you. There's no cost or obligation for that. And when you're looking to find us, you can email us at info@conciergebusinesssolutions.com, or you can just go to our website and click on the Contact Us button, or you can find us on Facebook. Just search for Concierge Business Solutions, all one word. Thank you so much for attending this webinar. We look forward to working with you soon. Happy networking and marketing.